Hello there. This episode of the Valley Vlog is in New Zealand. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we are out at sea, and my first task at hand is to find my dad. I know he's around here somewhere, reading his Kindle and enjoying the view. I asked Dad what our next port would be, and he told me it wasn't a port at all, but rather a national park. Fiordland National Park and the amazing Milford Sound. It sounded so wonderful that I just had to go see it myself. So I did. Don't worry, we'll catch up with Dad a little bit later. I just wanted to get back to the cabin to experience the fjords from the outdoors. Located at the southwest corner of the South Island of New Zealand, it's New Zealand's largest national park, at almost 5,000 square miles. I seem to be the only person out watching it. A gentle rain that day created a beautiful landscape of waterfalls all around. It was something I just had to take video of. And even Dad made his appearance just in time. With Fiordland National Park and Milford Sound behind us, it was on to our next port the next day. I knew that today was going to be a lot of walking, so anytime I could take public transportation, the better. My first destination was the city center of Wellington, and I knew exactly what I wanted to see. Guarded by two bronze lions, the Cenotaph opened in 1931 and is a war memorial commemorating the lives of New Zealanders and Australians who died during World War I and World War II. It opened during Anzac Day, which stands for the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. Whenever I'm near an Allied memorial, I like to pay my respects. As I was walking into town, off to my side I saw a very unique looking building with the New Zealand flag on top. It was a round building and I figured it was a government building, and it was. It was the Parliament of New Zealand. You can find a free 90-minute tour of the Parliament here, but I just wanted to look around a little bit, so I decided to climb its very dramatic staircase to get to the top. I would soon find out that these would be the first of many stairs I'd be climbing all day long. This neoclassical building was built in 1922 and replaced an earlier Parliament building that had been destroyed due to fire. It's where you can take your tours and see the parliamentary chambers. At the end of the grounds, you can find the Parliamentary Library, built in 1899. Outside, you'll see a statue of John Ballance, the 14th Premier of New Zealand and the founder of New Zealand's first political party. But as fun as this was, I knew I had another destination to get to. But in order to get to that one, I had to climb all the way down to the bottom from where I came, only to go back up again. The Wellington Cable Car is truly a historical landmark. Almost 1 million people a year take its beautiful ride up the hill. Built in 1902, it's been in operation pretty much ever since. Not only popular with the tourists for sightseeing, but it's also used by residents, commuters, and students to get around. The very first cable cars, which were later to be deemed unsafe, were run by steam power, and they would travel the 2,000-foot rail to the top. A lot has changed since those opening days. After a quick wave goodbye to the trolley, I found out there was a few more steps to get to my destination. But before I got there, I saw there was a bas-relief sculpture of the top of the mountain, showing you where the botanical gardens were. But people were really coming up there to see the view. It was an incredible view of the Wellington Harbor. It seems like you could see forever. But as beautiful as that was, I wanted to see a museum. It was the original cable car I told you about that was deemed unsafe. And by the look of it, it wasn't the easiest ride either. Being so close to history, I just had to be a part of it and have a seat in it before it was time to go back. It was pretty fun. Back down at the bottom of the hill in the city center, there were plenty of shops selling all different types of products like jewelry and clothing. One material that I saw a lot of was possum. I had no idea it was so popular. It was everywhere. But no time for that. I had to find a new mode of transportation. I had to get from one side of Wellington to the other to find a special effects house that was known for the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit series. It was Weta Studios. I had to get on a bus. I just had to figure out what bus to get on. Well, I just got off the number 2 bus. I'm in the Miramar area, they say, and I want to get on the 18 bus, which should take me to Weta Workshop. Hopefully that's right, because I'm going to do it backwards to get back and make it on the ship. Luckily, the bus ride wasn't that much longer, and it dropped me off in a sleepy little hillside community. I still didn't know where I was, but I knew that there'd be signs pointing me in the right direction. There were also signs I wasn't too far away from the ocean. So this is the Wedeck Cave. When you approach the building, if you look down at the ground, right by the sign pointing to the portaloos, you'll notice a chalk drawing of a large bug. It's a Weta bug, and that will tell you that you've arrived at the Wedeck Cave. Now at the front door of the Wedeck Cave, I saw a little silhouette of a man, and I knew that face. It was Alan Tracy from the Thunderbird show that Weta had also been doing the effects for. So with that, let's go on in and check out the cave. The Weta Cave is chock full of memorabilia and things to buy from the various productions that Weta works on. Middle-earth is very much prominently displayed here. You might even find an orc. He was much nicer than I thought in real life. There certainly were a lot of screen-used props from the various productions of Weta, such as Lord of the Rings and even the Hobbit series. I was fascinated with all the weapons they had, even though they weren't real. I was told if I looked hard enough, I might find the staff of a certain wizard who might let me borrow it to settle the score of an old grudge, and I knew exactly who I was going to visit with it.
Shall not pass!
Okay, well with that silliness out of the way, I was on to look for the tour. There was the tour desk. Unfortunately, all the tours were sold out for that day, and on top of that, they didn't allow any photography on the tours. So I didn't know what I was going to do. The area I was looking to see wasn't on the tour anyway, so I figured I'd do my own walking tour. So when I walked outside, I saw the buses where everyone was getting on and realized it must be close. I found Park Road, which is a sleepy residential street, and it leads into an industrial zoned area. I knew I was getting close when I found the building the Miramar Creative Center. It's a school for filmmakers. A little bit beyond that, when the buildings all turn into industrial buildings, I knew there were some sound stages at the very end. But that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for this building, which is Park Road Productions. It's Peter Jackson's personal office and post-production studios. The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies were all done here. But unfortunately, because it was the weekend and I had walked so far, it was time to go back. I had to get back to the cave to get to my bus. Well, I had a great time here at the Weta Workshop. Unfortunately, they don't allow the cameras on the inside, but you got to see a little bit, and I had a wonderful time. So now it's off to find the bus and head back to the ship. But as I headed back, I realized I hadn't seen what I thought I was going to see. I was looking for where the Hobbits lived. Little did I know I'd be seeing that very soon. I signed up for a tour to see the Hobbiton set, and it was some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen.
Quite often it's cloudy here. We're fairly high up, and we have automated speed signs which will actually change the speed limit depending on conditions.
Originally built for the Lord of the Rings series by Peter Jackson, it was constructed on a 1,200-acre farm. Afterwards, the set deteriorated, and it was rebuilt for the Hobbit movies on a 14-acre plot in the same spot. It's a very popular tour. About 300,000 people a year enjoy its tour, and it looks just like you'd remember it from the Hobbit movies. Now, even though it's an active farm, everyone's there to see their favorite Hobbit, or at least where they lived, and that place is called the Shire. Within the Shire, there are 44 Hobbit Homes, or Hobbit Holes as they call them. Some are built at 90% of scale, some are 60% scale, all based on the actor performing in front of it. I figured I'd go up and introduce myself to one of the Hobbits, but alas, no one was home. Actually, of the 44 Hobbit Holes, only 2 of them have anything behind them. They're just facades. The interiors were filmed in a studio miles away. But still, I had to find those 2 working Hobbit holes and find out what was exactly behind those doors. It was just a small room, no bigger than a storage shed. I think the most impressive part of the Shire is how well it's kept up, and Hobbiton maintains a staff of 7 groundskeepers all year round to keep it nice, tidy, and green. But with my experience in the Shire, I discovered they came up with a very clever way to keep you moving on the tour, with a strategically placed sprinkler. Now, I have to admit, it was pretty hard to film this to make it appear as if there weren't many people there, because there were a lot of people there, and after a while I felt I needed to get away from the crowds and get off the beaten path to find a location I had heard about, and that was going to take me down a beautiful winding road through some wonderful countryside, passing by a mill and a stream. Well, we have arrived at the Green Dragon Inn, and I'm told that there's some ale in there for me, so let's go get that. Originally featured in the Hobbit movies, the Green Dragon Inn was just a facade in real life. But they built a building behind it, on the actual spot of where it was. And while I didn't find any hobbits inside, I did find a very excited group all waiting for a certain beverage. That beverage was known as the Hobbiton South Farthing Sackville Cider, and it came complimentary with your ticket. This tranquil inn, at the end of the tour, is advertised as a great place to meet, eat, and rest your hairy feet. And that's exactly what I did. I enjoyed the drink so much, well, I had to go back for seconds. Good stuff. Okay, well, I got my cider. It was enjoyable, and I'm still enjoying it. It's apple cider, they say, but I can't tell if it's alcoholic or not, but it tastes good. Well, no tour of any popular tourist attraction can ever end without an exit through the gift shop, and that's exactly what you'll find here at Hobbiton. The room is a very comprehensive collection of all merchandise relating to the series. It's also an homage to Peter Jackson, the creator of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit series. You can find all the accoutrements that a well-dressed wizard or hobbit might be wearing. You can even find a map of Middle-earth, and of course every single figurine of every character ever created for the series. Back at the dock, there was someone far more important than any wizard that I wanted to see. I had a wonderful time in Wellington and seeing the Hobbiton set a few days later, but the trip wasn't over. Actually, there were more ports to see. As New Zealand's beautiful coastline disappeared in the horizon, we knew it was time to get ready for dinner. This is the last formal night of our cruise, and then we head back to Sydney. It's been a wonderful trip so far, and it's still going.
Good wine.
Thank you so much for watching the video to the very end. It's a slightly longer Valley vlog this time, and if you enjoyed it, well, here's a few others you might enjoy too. But most important, a very big thank you to all those who liked, subscribed, and left positive comments about the videos. It's made them a joy to make. And if you've already subscribed, don't forget to hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified on the next time a video pops up. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.